And his opponent, hungry and desperate for a win, representing Ting, it is Neeb. He looks okay. He doesn't look like, nervous or anything like that. I feel like we got to be pay extra close attention for like any potential early game snafus, because I feel like until he gets that first map win under his belt, there's going to be just an extra little bit of stress on him,
Yeah, it's an undoubtable that when you have the reputation and the history, the accolades that a player like Neeb has achieved, and especially these tournaments, and I don't mean to belittle it or take the stakes down at all, but there's the simple fact is the last couple of years, especially if it was like DreamHack NA, WCS NA, anything that was limited that you didn't bring in the big heavy hitting Koreans or Europeans, Neeb was like, yeah, it's a cakewalk, right? And then maybe Scarlet was in good shape for a couple of those and was able to take him down, or maybe Masa was in good shape for a couple of those and was able to take him down. But if it happened, it was in the finals, right? He never really was in a position where we ever doubted that he would go anywhere other than the top four. And again, usually to the grand finals. So we're in a weird world where Neeb is the player in the group that hasn't won a single game, hadn't won a single map, but it would still be silly to just assume that because he had a weird off day, that suddenly he's not the same player that he used to be at all, and he can never win again. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. That pylon's not there in time to start the stalkers out of his gateways. I have no idea what's going on. Okay,
that's what we were looking for right there. That is a gigantic, catastrophic mistake. His pylon, he forgot it entirely.
Got his second pylon? I don't know.
Oh,
well, I hope everything's okay. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if personal stuff, just been busy. But I do wish the best for Neeb. Uncharacteristic to say the least. So he's gonna do his thing. He's gonna expand. He's gonna still try and make those next moves forward. Has the pylon block on his opponent, and if we dismiss that supply block for a second, he's gonna have the expansion up a lot faster if he's able to hold on to it. The potential to just put the battery on the low ground and make that defensive stand is very real. Not impossible to defend in these kinds of situations, as Asuna is going to expand. It's not like he clears the pylon and then adds 2 more gateways. But with that being said, there is a probe on the left side of the map, so he could force the issue if he wants to.
Yeah, he certainly could. And that warp gate is going to be finishing up pretty nice and fast here. And with the delay of everything, like, he is going to be a little bit down in these units. Now, there is that shield battery at the front, so he should still be okay. Asuna is going to, I think, start to warp in a couple of stalkers probably at the front off that proxy pylon as soon as those gateways finish transforming. And yeah, it looks like he's doing so. And he's going to have, what is that, 10 stalkers? No, 8 stalkers. 8 stalkers pushing at the front. Neeb, he has recovered. So it's not like he's dead. Like this is just a light pressure anyways. And if anything, Neeb will come out of this with a small economic lead, but even that force field a little bit kind of late and sluggish.
Yeah,
I don't know what. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely a weird vibe that we're getting from Neeb. I don't have any other way to put it. As soon as got the stalkers outside, he's of course containing decently. You don't want to get force fielded without blink, so he's not gonna move too far forward. Or if he does, Neeb will try to grab him. But of course, Neeb himself doesn't want to go too far away from the shield batteries, at least not until he has that immortal. That of course becomes the game changer. You play around the immortal, you can obliterate the stalkers with ease, as it were. And as soon as he goes for blink back at his base, I don't think we've had that infrastructure investment just yet. No, so it's just the blinks. We might even just see with this forward pylon that Neeb's hallucinated Phoenix has scouted, so he knows 100% that aggressive reinforcement point is on the table. And maybe it will just turn into he's just going to try and just bash him down. I don't know. Maybe this is something that he saw he could try to pull off or get away with based on the way that, Neeb's series against Disc went, as he was not able to take any of those games. The Adepts are going to keep trying to put their pressure up and be as annoying as they can. Neeb does get 2 Adepts across, though. gets a couple of probes, forces a recall. Very big. The Adepts actually get into the main. So here we go. Neeb managing to get some serious damage done at the beginning of this match. This is a little bit more in line with what we expect out of him. And Asuna's at 29 probes. So you're talking about Neeb getting the slight economic lead off of the way the openings went. Now it's a big fat economic lead. He's got to be feeling, if that doesn't make him feel a little bit better, put his mind a little bit more at ease, I don't know what will.
Yeah, no, that's a huge win. That's a necessary win. That's the kind of thing that, you know, gives you that little bit of confidence that you're looking for. Knowing Neeb, he might still be a little bit fixated on that supply block. So I hope he just takes that as it was. And he's like, okay, that was a good thing. Take the W and just move on from there. And he is going to be getting a very quick War Prism, as well as that blink in +1. I feel like he might be going in for harass, but hold the phone. These 4 Adepts going to make their way into the main base. Will we see a force field in time? Oh, it does. Okay, he does cut it off. Still going to lose a couple of probes, but not going to be catastrophic damage.
No, not the same degree as what he just dished out on the other side, but it's always annoying dealing with the Adepts in the base. So at the very least, they only got around where that Vespene Geyser was, so those probes were going to be pretty easy pickings. But gonna add a couple of sentries onto this now, as that last Adept is still just dancing a little bit in the main base, but gets cleared. And I think it looks like Neeb actually does have another 2 Adepts, so he's gonna bring another hit squad over to that natural. We'll see what he can do. There is a cannon and a battery, so he's like prepared for DTs, but you know, and the Adepts can still get into the natural and just try to focus down some probes, as he's already had that economic lead that we were talking about before, and he's going to start to raise that gap a little bit more. Asuna looked like wanted to go for the 3rd base, but hasn't. We're not necessarily seeing that commitment to that investment just yet. There's a lot of Blink Stalkers outside of Neeb's base, but Neeb has a huge army. 2 Immortals, Stalkers aplenty, and of course, he has his own Blink, so he's going to go chase down. And in any scenario where he'd be trading here, the Guardian Shield ends up being really important for just limiting the amount of damage that he can take in a head-to-head fight. Makes his Stalkers way better than his opponents.
Yeah, and now he's actually going to take a shorter route back to Asuna's base, and he's going to be able to cut off these Stalkers a little bit. Should be blinking forward. Oh no, he just doesn't. Okay, I guess he was wary of a trap, which is, you know, not a bad play. Once again, he's got a lead. He's got a +1 timing lead. He wants to leverage that, and he wants to play this carefully. And I'm okay with him playing that a little bit on the safer side. Now he's going to take a 3rd Nexus, and Asuna, he, first of all, doesn't even have his own 3rd. And second of all, I mean, he's got to be just very, very afraid of Neeb.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it feels like the opportunity to try and do something is there, but Asuna has a couple of Immortals, has a few sentries, and Neeb, despite everything with where that probe was by the 3rd base earlier, when those Adepts were just going in, still has the 3rd base up before his opponent, you know, halfway done on the Nexus. We don't see the 3rd even beginning just yet for Asuna, so he didn't cancel the shield battery by his 3rd either. So either he was waiting for like an attack to just hold and just wanted to, you know, cut the 3rd out for the most part to be able to make it there. I guess that had to be what it was, because now he's hiding the 3rd base in the corner. Like he's still expecting Neeb to attack him soon, but not want to attack because as soon as not getting a 3rd base, it's like, you know, a little bit of mind game action going on in this first match.
Yeah, I think that's analysis is absolutely spot on. That's what he's trying to bait Neeb, or he's trying to make Neeb think that he's not expanding at all, and so that it would be a bad idea to attack him. And that's probably why Neeb didn't go in, even though he had the extra Immortal, he had the +1 timing, he had a couple extra units, and I think he had more gateways at that point too. In fact, now he's on 7 gates to 4, and he is going to try and push in here. He does have a gigantic army supply lead. He probably wants to wait for that +2 weapons, but once he gets it online, Charge Lot Archon Stalker Immortal, going to be very difficult to stop. Oh, cute move.
Oh yeah, a little shimmy with the fake prism into the main base off the hallucination. But coming over towards the natural, Neeb is just going to try and force the issue. Takes out the shield battery immediately. The charge zealots, of course, are going to make the Immortals not super strong. And there we go. Neeb is going to pick up his first map of this season of DreamHack Masters, which feels crazy to say. I should not have been the caster to say that that's what happened. Somebody else should have been able to do it a couple days ago, but that's how it is. And looks a little bit better. Even still a weird start, right, for getting the 2nd pylon. I don't know if that was because he wanted to pylon block earlier than he did. I don't know that there was something in his way for it, but we can hand wave that now. It didn't end up costing him. A win is a win is a win, and maybe that's just a little bit of confidence that he needs.
Yeah, I really hope so. I really hope so. That is the kind of thing that he will still be thinking about, and hopefully not really fixating on. Because if he does, that's the kind of thing that it's like, you know, the centipede who you ask him how he walks, and then he's like, oh, I just walk, and then a little bit of time passes and he's like, no, I don't know how to walk anymore. My feet don't do what I tell them to. So hopefully it's not a situation like that. I'm feeling better for Neeb because he got those adepts in. He got some great damage. I'm still a little bit worried about him. I'm still... Yeah, I want to see him win game 2 cleanly before I'm willing to be like, okay, Neeb is comfortable.
Yeah, and I think also worth pointing out, you know, we do have a lot of really good players in these groups. Vindicta looked insane in his match against Neeb, but the fact that Asuna beat Vindicta is still just one of those things where you're like, man, it really just comes down to the form on the day for everybody. It feels like, and normally Neeb is meant to be the exception to that. So I agree with you. I'd like to see him cleanly get through the second game. Should not be running into supply blocks or, you know, any slip ups mechanically. I don't know if somehow, you know, maybe the peanut butter from today's breakfast sandwich got onto the keyboard somehow, but you need to move past it and get ready for what's next, which is right here on Oxide. We have the red Protoss in the bottom left representing Ting. He is Neeb.
And his opponent, spawning up in the top right, representing Alpha X, looking for the upset, it is Asuna. And right out of the gate, we got something a little bit interesting. So Neeb going to be going, well, Asuna going with the more conventional, at least for Oxide, low ground pylon, and Neeb electing to go for that high ground double gate. That's already a little bit noteworthy. It's kind of accepted that you can take a low ground expansion on this map. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, it is just that still the first gateway so far, but he's got the probe kind of sharking around by the third. Asuna's probe seems to have a little bit more of a malevolent intent, as he's okay. He shift cues in the little attack command to keep scouting, but this looks much more like it would be a sort of proxy. However, if you're Neeb, you're also keeping in mind that, hey, my probe is reaching his base at a time that makes sense. Why is there no probe reaching mine? So I assume that there's a pretty big potential for Neeb to just send another worker out, maybe check around his own base. The pylon is on the way for Asuna, or based on his probe scout inside of Asuna's base, he'll say, well, I don't know where your second pylon is going to go. You might miss the timing on that. And you'd be asking yourself, well, where is the second pylon? And it's not inside of his base. It's because you're getting proxied, brah.
Yeah, and this has got to be proxy Stargate, proxy Void Rays. I can't imagine anything else hitting this early. And Neeb, he should be able to sniff this out. He has gone for the Zealot. He did, by the way, go for the single gate setup. So basically, both players are just going one gate tech. And this is probably the best case scenario for Neeb. He's made the right read. He's gone for the Stargate. And now he's going to check. Neeb.
I mean, I don't even think he needs to go up that ramp to see it, too. Like, he should be able to see it from the edge of his natural if the probe just goes over there. But now the shield battery is going to finish by the Stargate, so he's getting ready to build up for everything that he wants to do. I mean, Neeb's building an adept, and his probe is heading to his natural to build a gateway, right? Or to build a nexus, excuse me. But you see the Zealot, that some of the alarm bells have to start going off. He does have his own Stargate at home. But whether or not he builds something like the Oracle or the Void Ray, okay, now he sees it. Now he knows 100%. Now, thankfully, his Stargate timing is pretty close. It's still pretty similar. He's going to go start another shield battery, but he begins a Void Ray, which is the most important thing. If he had put a Chrono into an Oracle or a Phoenix the moment that this starts, you start to get terrified about the way that it's going to go down. And as soon as it actually does have that pylon in his space, you'd be a little bit worried. Maybe shield batteries get put in your natural. But he's got the Stalker. He's going to have the Void Ray. The defender's advantage in this scenario primarily just boils down to Warp Gate is quite far away for Asuna, so he can't really instantly reinforce. And he's just going to have to rely on, I guess, what's going to turn into a siege with these batteries outside of his base if he can set it up anyway.
Yeah, Neeb does have a big advantage right now, having been able to deny the shield batteries from the high ground, now denying them from the low ground as well. He's going to find his pylon a little bit low. The Void Ray count will be... Actually, hold the phone. Neeb was a little bit late with his second Void Ray. He is still going to get it out, and he does have a ton of shield batteries, so he should still be fine. Wow, adding on 2 more, 3 more even. He's showing so much respect to this build.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any reason to like take your chances against this. Get the batteries up, keep building the Void Rays. He's in a position where he doesn't really have to worry about falling back. If Asuna falls back, he gets into some serious trouble because you really can't afford to give this up. That gateway right in his face for the for the extra warp-ins is super important. And that Void Ray on Asuna's side has also taken a lot more damage than Neeb's has. He's been able to maintain with all of those shield batteries we were talking about. He's kept himself alive thus far. And at this point, the win condition does also become whether or not he can actually get his Void Ray onto the Stargate, but 2 of them do target him down over his own battery. That is definitely frustrating. The Stalker gets picked off too. Another Void Ray is going to come in, but I mean, it's just batteries the whole way down, man. It's going to be constantly regenerating the shields. And if he could get, it's like if he could get that fight, if he would have been able to take that 2v1, it would have been so nice. And for Asuna, he's like, okay, everything that he needs to happen is taking place in this. Is it's just, both of them building 1 Void Ray at a time, but can he get away just barely for a second? But he turns around, still gets it. That 3rd Void Ray is peeled back. It's just the perfect time for Asuna, and that is GG. What an ugly game, but that's the way it goes in NA, man. You've got just 6 shield batteries next to 6 other shield batteries, and 2 floating batteries shooting lasers at each other. Wow, so weird. What a weird game. I guess I can see why it's so hard to win with people doing stuff like this against you. Just so weird. If he had gone for that double gateway opening, I think he would have had a much better position to try and handle it, but they're both like, oh yeah, go 1 gate expand because it's Oxide, but then neither of them end up expanding. But I guess Neeb wanting to expand is why he ends up losing.
Yeah, a little bit awkward in that regard. I think the biggest problem is Neeb didn't have his Void Ray production perfectly set up. Like he was missing. There was periods where Stargate wasn't active, and so that second or third Void Ray popped out late, and at that point, 2 Void Rays with prismatic alignment will beat a Void Ray that is being healed by the shield battery. Unless there is battery overcharge, you can burn through those shield batteries. And that's exactly what we saw happen. And then Neeb popped out the extra Void Ray, but it was already too late. And then he even popped his prismatic alignment during the fight and got nothing for it. And at that point, once it got down to 3 Void Rays to 1, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. It's as simple as it goes. I mean, Void Ray damage against armored units is crazy. Even a shield battery doesn't necessarily save you from a prismatically aligned one if they're able to just sit there and attack the whole time. Despite the speed debuff when it's active. But in that game, yeah, it's just a sloppy mess, really. And it was kind of hard to call because you're into weird micro situations. But now we have 1 more map to decide who will win this one. With a very early probe going across the map, we have the blue Protoss in the bottom left. He is Asuna.
And his opponent spawning down in the bottom right. He needs your energy. It is Ting's Neeb. I think this is going to be double gateway forge. I think we'll see in a little bit, but obviously he's saving up money, saving up chrono boost energy. There's 2 gateways.
Oh, it's if he could just wait, maybe it becomes oops all zealots. You typically kind of expect with something like this that it would be the forge, but he's just gonna say, I'm just gonna overwhelm you with zealots and kill you, and he'll probably feel happy as he goes up this ramp and sees, oh yeah, the wider ramp is where you're setting up, Neeb. So he doesn't already have anything invested into protecting that main base ramp. So with the probe scout going in, you see what looks like it could be a setup for a cannon rush, right? So the forge immediately starts for Neeb as he sees this. But what he really needs, I honestly don't even know. This is a scenario that I have not actually seen really play out in our competitive level here, even in America. We don't really have people go for the proxy triple gateway YOLO Zealot smash. There's no Cyber Core. There's no Forge for Asuna. There's no gas. He's literally just going to rally Zealots into Neeb's base and try to kill him. And the way that pylon was set up so that nothing could be, he couldn't block it. Now Neeb gets his Zealot out. He's going to start to work on that. But if that pylon gets broken, it's going to open the wall too. So it just becomes the most awkward situation I think you could really be in.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that Neeb just pulled a lot of probes for a decent bit of time, and it didn't achieve anything. And that meant he couldn't start that cannon when he wanted to. And now, oh, the surround though! He's gonna trap these Zealots. Now he will still lose one of his own Zealots, but he kills both of Asuna's, and that is so gigantic.
Yeah, puts the Cyber Core to block it off here too. Very nice, because it of course will take him a while to hack through either the Cyber Core or the gateway. He has more surface area for the gateway, so the Zealots are all going to get on top of that. And if you're Neeb, he's still going to try and trickle out his Zealots, but he's got a photon cannon. So the only way you're going to try and punch through this, you have to trade out a lot of the sustain on the Zealots. So he cancels the Cyber Core, goes to re-warp, and the Zealots run inside. But the probes are body blocking, so he can't actually get onto the cannon itself. He's going to start another photon cannon, and Asuna just going to run into the main base. Possibly. Two of the Zealots do get caught trying to do that, though. And this would be the only income that Neeb has. So he's kind of forced to fight against this, trying to dance, move the probes around, keep the Zealot that he has from being attacked. And pretty well done so far. Neeb down a handful of workers, but again, there's no setup for anything else to happen for Asuna. He's not okay. He just finally starts the first pylon in his main base.
I mean, yeah, there's no setup for Asuna, but there's no setup for Neeb either. He canceled his Cyber Core. He doesn't have any tech. He's only on one gateway versus 3. I think Asuna might just continue to build Zealots and potentially just overwhelm Neeb here. Neeb being forced to rebuild probes. Asuna does have the option of just teching out of this and being ahead.
I think so. It's possible, but with the 2 cannons here, it's just such an awkward situation. I don't think Neeb should feel pressured to continue building Zealots. The priority with 2 cannons here, the priority has to just be get a wall. Just put yourself in a position where the other Zealots for Asuna can't just run up past you into your main base and force you to pull the probes again. Because as far as everything else goes, we can talk about the minerals that maybe have been lost or the workers that were killed, but Neeb already had invested into an assimilator. He's got some gas, so it's not like he has to spend money on that. Asuna now has to take both of his geysers, and he will do that. He will get his cybernetics core, but also worth keeping in mind, all of his production is right in front of Neeb's base. So the amount of resources he's going to lose off of 3 gateways and a pylon, assuming that gets shut down, will be huge. But the Zealots actually do somehow manage to get into that main base mineral line, and with more probes dying, I don't know. This is one of the ugliest PvP series I think I've ever seen in my professional career as a commentator of 10 years steadfast. Seeing this is a very just awkward and uncomfortable game.
Yeah, and I think Neeb is still making the correct calls. I think Asuna is making some very questionable ones. But make no mistake, Neeb is still in a tough spot. I really love that Stargate because I think an Oracle or a Void Ray might just win Neeb the game. But
he can build 3 Stalkers at a time, theoretically, outside of his base. So it's like, do you send an Oracle across? Well, Asuna's going to get a shield battery. So he's considering that. He's just going to take Neeb's gold.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Well.
Oh, and what?
I thought it was a long day before this match started, but we're going to the Shadow Realm, friends.
Yeah, pack up your bags, because this is we're here for a trip. That is for sure. I
want to get off Asuna's wild ride.
Asuna didn't build any stalkers though. He's going to lose this gateway. Oh my goodness.
It boils down to a few things, because if Neeb plays this too defensively, then that gold base, if he gets away with it, becomes insane, since Neeb actually doesn't have his Nexus. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe with the 1 cannon he has there, I don't know that he actually can build a Nexus here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that blocks. Oh, it definitely does. Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I'm getting some you can't put a nexus there vibes from this. So, but here's the nice thing. The Void Ray, assuming that it just chills here and keeps taking out these pylons, the gateways are useless. He does have warp gate, so maybe he's hoping that he's just gonna buffer through these pylons and play War of Attrition, but it's a Void Ray. So that's, and I don't have a huge degree of confidence in this as the strategy. No, another Void Ray shows up. These warp gates, these gateways, whatever you want to call them, they're never going to be useful. The other base, the gold for Asuna, it's up. He's going to put a pylon there. He's going to try and lock it down. If the Void Rays just realized, if they just hop, skip, and jump over, that would be very big. But look at this. He recalls almost all the probes from his main, all but 6 on the minerals into the gold. So he's got 16 probes on a gold base at 7.5 minutes outside of Neeb's expansion. So the train keeps moving. I didn't mean to buy a ticket for this one. I was just trying to get on, I was just trying to get on the Amtrak up to like Cali or something. Maybe spend a nice weekend just chilling with some wine. But instead, we are in a very, very scary place filled with shield batteries, Void Rays, and God knows what else.
Yeah, this is a situation where you wanted to get on the F train and instead you got on the NA train. Just a disaster in the making. We are going to be seeing Phoenixes and double Stargate out of Asuna, and Phoenixes can actually do very well against Void Rays, as weird as it may seem. Now, in these numbers, obviously not great for the Phoenix player, but it is going to be double Stargate. They do build faster. Ooh, nice little pick off from Neeb. They can deal with this very well.
It's just
Neeb,
a race against time. I mean, Asuna's rich. He has the gold base. Neeb, he did have to kill his cannon to build this Nexus, but it's not done yet. And that income graph, thank you for bringing that up, y'all. As y'all can see, that's a pretty significant resource difference, almost 600 in total gap. And while it eventually might be made up, Asuna actually has the worker lead too. So he's not really pressed to build more probes because you don't need as many for the gold base. There's not as many patches to think about. So all he has to do now is just spend, mass up Phoenix, overwhelm the Void Rays, and then just kill everything. Because, I mean, once he starts getting to work on Neeb's economy, that gold base is going to become even more important.
Yeah, and there's only the one gateway for Neeb. He just finished up a second one. He did stop building Void Rays. He didn't go up to a 5th. He canceled it and did end up going for Blink and now +1 weapons. But 2 gateways is not a lot of production, and we are seeing +1 air weapons coming down for Asuna, as well as a Robo. I think he's going to play kind of a variant of a player named Cripsale, bit of a Protoss mech style.
Yeah, I hate it. This game is so weird. Nothing about this has really been rational or standard in by any stretch of the definitions of either of those words. So getting the +1 attack, yeah, makes sense. It's just looking for the overwhelm, because Void Rays, as powerful as they can be, a point of note, like several other armored units in StarCraft, even though it says it's an armored unit, it does not actually have any armor by default. So Phoenix do their full damage. They don't obviously do the bonus damage because they're not light, but it's not like you have a Phoenix trying to shoot down something that's heavily armored and it's going to tickle them, especially once he gets the +1. I foresee the Void Rays not really being very useful anymore. And it's going to come down to having overwhelming stalker numbers for dealing with this. But again, that just means you're locked inside your base, which is great for the dude that's mining out your gold.
Huh. Yeah, that is something that I was actually just thinking about. If this goes long, Neeb is going to be missing his gold base. Like, that's...
Oh my God!
Oh, no, don't show it with the probe!
Did he see that probe?
Why?
You have... Please tell me you saw that probe, Neeb. This is huge. This is very big. Just turn around. Go to your gold. Go to your gold. No, okay.
He didn't notice. He didn't
Go to
notice.
Your gold.
Oh, did he? Oh,
Go to your gold.
Please.
This is unreal. I'm going to put a base next to your base, even though I don't know you put a base in my space. Gets the observer. I can't, you see that probe come down from that gold base, and there has to be a head scratch moment. At least there's a warp gate there, right? But the Phoenix are going to go into the main, forces the overcharge to help defend the Void Rays. And he says, you know what, I'll take these Void Rays while we're extended. Take that air control back. Does actually bleed out a pretty significant number of the Phoenix. But again, we know that money isn't the big problem for Asuna. If he trades cost and effectively, that can, of course, always come back to bite him. Back home, he's got charge lots. He's already got charge done. He has Immortals. He has Sentries. So a Stalker-based armies, it's also going to find itself struggling a little bit.
Yeah,
and
it certainly
Archon.
will. Especially if he has to retreat. The Phoenixes can pick up everything potentially. Oh, recall.
This is his fourth. This is Asuna's fourth base. Neeb doesn't even know. He still doesn't even know. His gold's going to get completely mined out. And some point in a hypothetical, terrifying and awful universe where this game goes for an hour, Neeb will be sorely missing the resources that he could have gotten. And he's already transferring probes off the base. He's like, oh yeah, I've got all the money here. Neeb does finally find it. I'm looking at the camera for a reaction, but you know, stoic as ever is the American Protoss player here, but he's it's still a kind of an awkward spot because he's got his own third coming up, but his army's all stalkers. So Phoenix pick up a bunch of them to hold him towards the front. He's doing some blink micro. Overcharge is available, and he has enough, I think, to try and dive the Immortals. There's not a huge number of Zealots with this army composition, but he's just kind of taking the straight up head-to-head engagement. There we go. There's the blink onto the Immortals. Gets one, gets two. The Zealots finally come in from that gold base. A couple of them were just chilling there. And obviously that's a really good warp-in point of reinforcement. But he's bleeding out a lot of these units that I don't necessarily know he's going to be able to do too much on the other side with. Zealots are just really good in these situations where you can just bully the opponent. And the Phoenix, with that +1, they're doing work too.
Yeah, they're actually doing a surprisingly amazing job right now. The one Void Ray does join up, will get picked off, and Neeb holds. But an even trade, I think, actually is still better for Asuna as long as he evacuates that gold. He does need to get all those probes out, and he will start to do so now. Neeb denies mining here, which is very, very, very crucial. But Asuna still, like... I still feel like he's in a decent position now, mostly because of all the minerals that are missing from that gold base, and now he takes his own. Oh my goodness.
Well, I think it's... I don't know. I don't think anybody will ever believe I can make unbiased comments about this game, so I'm just going to say it. We get to witness the what it looks like to watch the Protoss open the big book of Protoss BS against another Protoss in this match. That's my... It's the only way I can really summarize what's happening here. Neeb's trying to play a macro game. He wants things to go to like a normal-ish place, but instead Asuna has just done every possible insane thing he could have done. He proxied Zealots outside your base. He had the Void Ray rush, goes into double Stargate Phoenix and steals your gold after his proxy Zealot all in. Kind of ends up petering out to like an even place where he can actually transition out of it somehow, unbelievably. And then he says, you know what? Yeah, no, you took my... I know you cleared your gold. That's fine. I'm going to just take my gold now. All the gold minerals in the world. And it's just it's a very weird, uncomfortable place. I have honestly no freaking clue what's going to happen in this game anymore, because I feel like as soon as the game gets anywhere remotely close to standard again, Asuna's just going to start doing some more weird-ish. I don't know.
I think Asuna's next move is to turn everyone's camera 90 degrees. So that still, even though he's out of tricks, no one really knows what's happening. He just wants to create new situations. By the way, we are going to be seeing a DT transition from both players. Neeb going to be going with that DT drop, which is very bold considering there's still quite a few Phoenixes on the map. And Asuna's also going to go for those DTs. Oh no. Oh god, please
Yeah, he'll
no.
kill the Prism quickly too with the +1. Keep that in mind. These 3 Phoenix will clap it. Will clap it hard. And Cannon finishes at the gold. So DT gets a few probes there, but nothing super crazy.
Oh.
Yeah, he recalls the Prism, realizes he's like, oh, maybe I don't want to throw away 4 Dark Templar. Don't worry, because Asuna's going to try and do the same thing. There is a cannon finishing soon in Neeb's third. He's got a cannon in all of the other bases. That's... Oh, well, actually not in the main, but I'm not sure the pathing is going to let him get to the main base. Yeah, warps in some stalkers and blocks him. So holds that off without too much trouble.
That's big. That's really big. That could have gotten very, very easily out of hand and swung the game back heavily into Asuna's favor. As it is still pretty even. I do think Neeb has a slight lead right now. he is going to be able to deny mining on this gold base, which is really crucial that he does. Neeb's got a much faster +3 weapons. He's got an ever so slightly bigger army, and well, in terms of value, it's actually more valuable for Asuna. Asuna's got 3 more Archons. He's actually going to lift up a couple Zealots here to start this off. Phoenixes do very well against Zealots with their bonus versus armor, or bonus versus light. Oh, that Immortal.
Yeah, Neeb's trying to bring his army together, but those rocks are kind of in the way, and you don't normally want to break open your own rocks because you're like, okay, that makes it easier to be attacked. But he needs to bring his whole army together if he wants to actually fight against this. Asuna does have a Prism in tow in the slow zone, so he's going to bring in a couple more Zealots. Does get sniped by Neeb's Stalkers. The Stalkers he's had all game, definitely paying off big time now. I love that he brings DTs in with this fight. The ones that he saved from earlier will help him hack and whack and smack through Asuna's forces. And I'm not entirely sure that Asuna has a whole lot left back at home to try and stop this. There's a single Immortal and 11 Zealots. Well, between you and me, Steadfast, I'm liking this for Neeb. He's going to warp in himself. And obviously with this many Archons in play, force fields are not an option. So he's just got a huge army supply lead that he's going to use to try and close this one out right here, right now. Coming down the ramp is Asuna into a huge concave from Neeb.
Yeah, Neeb has the bigger Archon count. He's got the better upgrades. He's got the bigger army supply, and he should be able to close this series out and secure his first series of the day. I can't believe I'm saying this. After 7 games, he's lost more maps already than he has in the past 2 seasons combined in the group stages. But he gets the job done, which is all you can really ask for. Now, that being said, we do see a nice little Zealot flank from Asuna, but he's just too far behind at this